clearly, if inflation stays higher for longer and rates stay higher for longer, crypto won't recover. Does it go further and lower? Possibly, because we haven't tested it in that environment. So the macro is one. Obviously, there's always the threat of regulation, but they tend to be temporary in nature. We've seen China, we've seen India, we've seen everybody kind of toy around with different regulations. It moves the markets for short periods of time, and then money gets reallocated through the system. So I think the macro is probably the biggest risk. And because I don't see how the network by technologists is not adopted. The technology genie is out of the bottle, and that's not going away. So every time you trade below trend for an extended period of time, you're getting cheaper and cheaper and cheaper versus the log trend of adoption. So Metcalfe's law makes it very difficult for assets to stay down for a long time, which is why everyone gets frustrated with technology stocks, because they're not cyclical, because they're driven by the same factors.
Hello and welcome to Money Talks. In today's video, Real Vision CEO and co-founder Raoul updates about the current state of macroeconomic environments, valuing crypto, the future of NFTs, and everything. Raoul also updates about his asset allocation in cryptocurrencies and why he thinks that investing in Solana is a great bet. Make sure to stick around to the end of this video where Raoul talks about his 10-year updated outlook regarding cryptocurrencies and NFTs. If you like the video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the post notifications. So without wasting any more time, let's dive right into the video.
I do have a few bets. So I have a small basket of like DeFi, Uniswap and stuff like that, Aave, whatever. But I also have, the only other bet I'm taking really is Solana. So I've started to build a reasonable position in Solana because it has the next most number of developers, the network activity, and it's clear that their mission seems to be to use it as a blockchain for the masses. So, music, gaming, all of that kind of stuff. And I think the next phase is that. The next 200, 300 million people are going to come out of mass adoption and not from crypto heads like you and I who've been around for a while. And so I think Solana's a reasonable bet. Now, the chain breaks, it's not perfect, all of this stuff. Nothing's perfect, and that should be at the price. We all understand that.
Former Goldman Sachs executives believe that Ethereum holders could witness maximum pain before a recovery in the altcoin. Bitcoin price could likewise witness a drop in its price before the crypto bear market is over. Raoul also assessed whether the recent recovery in Bitcoin and Ethereum prices is a bear market relief rally or a sustained bullish impulse. A decline in on-chain activity in the two assets suggests lackluster demand and that the downtrend may still not be over, despite the recent rebound from extremely oversold conditions.
But when we got back to the top, what we didn't realize is that discretionary spending had collapsed.
Right.
Because of inflation. So everybody had suddenly negative real wages, so they didn't have the $100 a month to put into Bitcoin because they had to pay their electricity bill.
His conclusion is that the recovery is not convincing enough if it comes off the back of low demand. Bitcoin blocks are partially empty, Ethereum gas prices have hit multi-year lows, and the rate of EIP 1559 burn has hit an all-time low. The Bitcoin network continues to be dominated by hodlers, those who buy and hold indefinitely, with no significant increase in new demand. Therefore, Bitcoin price outlook remains bearish when viewed through the lens of on-chain activity.
People don't yet realize what NFTs are. Everything we do in life, including me coming on this podcast today, is a contract. An NFT is a unique contract. Forget everything about what it's being used for currently. Almost everything we do, from derivatives in financial markets, through to insurance, through to attending a concert, through to education and getting a certificate or anything, they're all contracts. The technology now allows these contracts to be verified and all the stuff that we know with blockchain, right? So you've now created a global marketplace for contracts. But the first thing that came out of it was art, bizarrely enough.
Yep.
Because this technology allows to solve a number of issues about who gets paid for what. Right, a contract for a piece of art. I buy the piece of art from Damien Hirst. directly, he gets paid once. Then after that, he never gets paid again because it's not linked to anybody. But the smart contract changes the entire equation, so he can he can participate in his own network, which he couldn't do before.
Yeah.
So NFTs are that. NFTs are another thing. It is the proof case of community and what it means to coalesce groups of like-minded people around single ideas. Whether that's the DAO structure of the Constitution DAO, which didn't actually achieve its purpose, but it was an incredible getting together of capital, $46 million in like 3 days around one idea, or whether it's a shared idea in the IP, which is, let's say, Yuga Labs, Bored Ape Yacht Club ecosystem, which is, well, we're building a media company from scratch based around community from the ground up.
Yeah.
So communities can get together and authenticate each other. So it's club membership, it's collectibles, it's shared purpose, all of these things together.
Ethereum burn rate has declined, hitting an all-time low. The total Ethereum burned stands at 11% of the total issuance of the altcoin. This implies that a large volume of Ethereum remains in circulation despite the implementation of EIP 1559.
So if I go outside, if I go down to the village and say, hey, listen, have you got the latest, XYZ pop stars NFT? They're like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Right.
But if I go to you, you might say, yeah, I looked at it, I didn't like it, because you're in that economy, which is the economy of ETH and Solana and Tezos, right? But these other people aren't. So the artists have struggled to get network effects yet.
Yeah.
But most of them are doing it at small scale to test it.
Right.
The reality is, we all know that culture is the new asset class. We all know that tokenizing culture via NFTs and social tokens is probably one of the biggest unlock of business models ever. We move trillions of dollars of intangibles off balance sheets to tangibles because they get tokenized, culture, community. So it's a matter of time. And they are learning. We're seeing people like Timbaland is doing interesting stuff. We're seeing Snoop Dogg is making decent progress. People are making progress. But as yet, we've got the problem is nobody knows what a bloody wallet is. But don't forget, there's big things in the background that nobody thinks about. Is Meta, well, Instagram, which is the largest place of all people in the world to hang out and talk about cultural things, is going to allow authentication by NFTs. Now, how long before those NFTs can allow you to be part of a private group? I doubt very long. We're seeing, my guess is Spotify will move this way. My guess is all sorts of people will move this way, and wallets will become ubiquitous. How long before my iPhone has its own super secure wallet attached?
Raoul Paul argues that there is a general feeling that macro conditions are so poor that ETH could drop to retest its recent low. The former Goldman Sachs executive argues that Ethereum is likely to move against crowd sentiment. But my hunch is that the path of Max Payne is higher. 2200 to 2300 is the key one for me. A break of that either happens pre-merge or post-merge. Once everyone has gotten back in, the market can correct sharply before rising again based on the macro.
Think about other gigantic wastes of capital. You book a hotel room because you're going back to LA, and suddenly last minute you can't make it.
Yeah.
You lose your money. There is no reason that ticket for the hotel room should not be tokenized.
It's yours. It's a concert ticket.
You've paid for it.
Yeah.
So therefore, think of all of that capital that gets freed up from the system. The hotel actually would rather somebody staying there because you'll have room service and you'll buy a drink in the bar as opposed to having the empty hotel room. So it solves things for people. Flights, all of these pain points all go. And there's tens of trillions of dollars of capital globally tied up in this kind of mess because it's inefficient method of settling and transfer.
Paul also highlights that Ethereum has been recently outperforming Bitcoin. ETH is also breaking out versus BTC. The macro guru says that Ethereum's bullish momentum against Bitcoin is likely being buoyed by strong fundamental growth. This is being driven by superior current network effects and network activity. Paul concludes by reiterating that investors and traders who are sitting on the sidelines will likely be driven to participate once Ethereum gets going. My hunch is that the market is caught underweight, as it is in equities too. and the path of pain is higher. But that is just shorter term thoughts. So what are your thoughts about the future of NFTs? Tell us in the comments down below. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you soon with the next video, and thanks so much for watching.